Hello. Hello and good evening to you
Good
all.
evening.
It is a pleasure and an honor to be here today for the Distinguished Speaker Series with the iconic artist Lalitha Lajmi ji in this collaborative program put together by the Goethe-Zentrum Hyderabad along with Gallery Art and Soul. It is enormously difficult to make an introduction to Lalitha Lajmi in a few words because of her incredible history as an artist and the towering inspiration she has been to several generations of practitioners. But I will try. Lalitha Lajmi was born in 1932 in Kolkata and is a prominent printmaker and painter. She began painting in the early 60s and has had an illustrious career spanning 5 decades and more. In her vast repertoire of work, she has explored various mediums and has exhibited across India and internationally as well, particularly in Germany, UK, and the USA. Lajmi has been the recipient of a government fellowship from 1979 to 83. She won the Indian Council for Cultural Relations travel grant for International Contemporary Indian Women Artists Show for 50 years of Indian independence, organized by Mills College of Art at Oakland, California in 1997, and the ICCR travel grant to East and West Germany for 2 exhibitions in 83. These are among several other recognitions. Lalitha Lajmiji lives and works in Bombay. Before we go ahead with the conversation, I would like to welcome also Jesal Thacker, who is with us today. Jesal Thacker, an artist by training, chose to pursue a scholarship in art instead of art practice. A graduate with a degree in painting from Sir J.J. School of Art, she set up the Bodhana Arts and Research Foundation, a not-for-profit that engages with researching and publishing books on Indian art. Also an independent curator, she has curated several exhibitions, Prabhakar Barve's retrospective being the most recent project in 2019, exhibited at the National Gallery of Modern Art, Mumbai and New Delhi. With that, I would like to say that I am Lina Vincent and I'm an art historian and curator based currently in Goa. And it's an absolute delight for me to begin this conversation. Lalitha ji, it is so nice as always to see you. And I think what I would like to begin with is to ask you about some very recent work that you have done, which is the memory roll. And with this work, it is something that has brought together a flow of memories and thoughts and experiences. And I would like to, in fact, ask you about this particular work and talk a little bit about your experience when you were making it.
I started this actually unaware of whether I'm going to exhibit this or not. It was meant like a diary. During, when we were told that we cannot go out anywhere, when the lockdown took place and so COVID. So my studio is in the garage downstairs. I live on the third floor, and first few days I was depressed. Then I just discovered some of the roles in my studio and my rooms, and I had not opened those rice paper rolls for a long time. And when I opened it, I discovered there were poems. I don't know where these poems were formed. Uh, is it because of keeping it for so long, or whether some water had gone inside? But it was strange that there were oval shapes in the middle, and on the side there was a pattern like this. And continuous, it was continuous for the whole roll. And I had not opened the whole roll, I just started. And for me, I thought art begins in the womb. And this is what I meant, that we all have some kind of some kind of art or some kind of you know, it may not be only painting, but it can be any kind of art. So it begins with the womb. So all of us have it. It's that something that makes you begin your work, think of your work. Uh, this is what happened. I mean, the child, the bird, and the woman, her longings, her sorrow, and some of the basis of which which I have felt they were very interesting to use in my work. And the girl is myself. It is like a diary. So when I say discover of a diary is uh, my own self, my own journey. So that's the reason you will find some figures and some uh, some memories, some things that happened in my life. I have used very. I mean, I've been open about this. I'm very fond of fish, so the symbol of fish I've shown, the duck, the bird again, and again here the other girl, her longings, and always felt that we all are clothes afterwards. First, when we were born, and there is no need for draping ourselves, covering ourselves. And also, I always feel that every part of us, we try to hide. It is like a screen behind and in front another, another part. So this thing like play acting of ourselves comes always in my work.
Yes, and these have been drawings, isn't it? You didn't use watercolors or anything.
Yes.
These are all drawings.
This what happened was because this paper was so translucent and thin, I couldn't have used watercolors. I couldn't have used any kind of painting on that. So I just thought of actually today I love to use brown and black in my work. So I just found it in my painting box of pencil dark brown. But there may be some different shades because when the pencil, actually these pencils had discovered we had gone to Italy.
Okay.
And since then I have those pencils. So these pencils were used, brown pencil, and this is how it is, memories and this is of course an ancient bird.
Yes, I think those birds have recurringly come into your work. Right from the beginning until now, the birds they keep appearing. It's something that is very much part of your language.
Yeah.
Good evening, Lalita. Lalita ji, how are you?
Good evening.
So, from all the conversations we've had, over the last few years,
Yes.
um, I just want to first show a couple of slides. Jyoti, if you can just show those few images and maybe just let them be on screen for like a few seconds and then go to the next one. Just show all of them and then come back to the first one.
Yes. This is a very old painting.
Okay.
All these paintings are somewhere in 60s.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
this is a watercolor. I still have it, but now I have to give it for restoration because
So can you
slightly
tell
damaged.
us, something because there is a sense of an autobiography. They're like autobiographical notations. Your all your paintings, the watercolors, the oils, the etchings, the woodcuts, and more than autobiographical. Then there is a psychoanalytical, process or an inquiry that you're trying to do, and And beyond that, there's even then when you know talk about the objects, you know, outside the window, and you deal with subjects like birth and death. I think it does have a spiritual essence also. So I feel these all three aspects, you know, like there's an autobiographical narrative, there's a psychoanalysis. I think, you know, you had mentioned to me that you used to read Sigmund Freud a lot. You were fascinated by reading, you know, his texts, and you even had a lot of conversations with Udayan Patel many years ago. So, can you touch upon these aspects? We can maybe see a few paintings, and then you can talk about a few. And
Yes,
yeah,
yes, sure.
yeah,
That's what the kind of questions just now you've spoken, they're really relevant to all my works.
yeah,
Uh, want me to say a few words about each one?
yeah. So let us just show them,
Okay.
and then we'll go back to the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now uh, I have done this family. This is a family tree. I didn't I didn't use any color there. I just used pencil,
Okay.
and I mean I experimented with different uh, mediums, a different way of doing things. Now this is an old watercolor,
Okay.
and I have used not entirely the whole composition, but I've used part of it in uh, in the Indian Bombay airport. I
Okay.
was commissioned, and I have that large painting. It's in oil.
So, I mean, this, like, can you just share with us a little more details about this particular painting, the people that are present in this painting? It's family, the grandmother with white birds, and man
Yes.
holding a blue face. Does it go back to a memory, an incident that took place that you'd like to share with us?
Yes. Uh, I was very close to my own grandmother, and perhaps this figure and the girl, crying, or she's wanting to say something to the grandmother.
Mm.
There's a deep relationship between the grandmother and me. So
Okay.
this is what I've got given. And the man, you know, I had lots of memories of my father,
Hmm.
and he was a poet, but he was never able to discard much because those days there were, there were no avenues like today. My work is exposed, people see it, and I
Hmm.
have been able to show my work. But it's so sad that he used to write on newspapers, he used to write on any kind of pencils and pens, and I have some collection of his poetry. But then today, if I show it to any poet, they're outdated.
Okay.
So, I mean, I cannot speak all those things, but
Sure.
here it is symbolically, he's holding a head.
Okay. Okay. Can we go to the family tree painting, please?
Family tree, yes.
Yeah, the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one.
Yes, family tree. Family tree, it becomes,
So
sorry,
about this.
sorry. Uh, Family tree begins with my parents, with my younger brother sitting on the lap of my mother.
Okay.
And this is a scene where my eldest brother Gurudat and my cousin, me and my brother, uh, elder brother, Appaji. And this was taken in, I remember the year, but it was done in Calcutta, and the, I do have the photographs and all that. So from the photographs at that time, I didn't have whole canvases, big canvases to
Mm.
start, and it was a gallerist. Uh, they asked us to do it on a family tree, and I thought I would have only these four canvases of the same size. So I thought, why not use this method of doing it. This also, then the last one, I've used a photograph from myself, to show that this is the parameter. Here, the third one is they both are uncles, elder uncle and younger also. I
Sure.
think they're all
Yeah.
memories. That's all.
Can we go to objects from my window?
Yes,
Yeah, I'm just telling Jyoti to go to the slide. Yeah.
yes. Now, this is the kind of window I have, and I have these masks. One gallery had given us masks and asked us to paint. So I had I have painted on all over the place. Actually, that is the work, but I didn't want to use the whole thing. So when I use the pencil work, I just use the form of the mask. And uh, the window, which is still there in my room, it is one of the best rooms, I think, because that's where I used to do my etchings. And once I stopped it, now there is computer, and things have changed. But some objects are still there. This figure of the uh, child come girl is a gift from Navjot. She
Okay.
used to do these objects, and she had given me this. And she first time when she came to this house, because we used to live in Colaba before.
Hmm.
We shifted here.
So can we see dream, please?
Pardon?
No, I'm asking Jyoti to just go to the next slide. So there's again this entire series of works where there is this subconscious element that
Yes.
comes up, like dreams. So like the earlier work was about objects from my window, which was very real, something that you're seeing every day. Then you go into this entire dream world, so you're kind of playing between these the conscious, the unconscious, the subconscious worlds. So can you just talk about that, like in particular about this work or this series of works, the dream?
Well, whenever I begin any work, whether it's canvas or watercolors or printmaking, uh, I'm that sort of a painter who's spontaneous. So I think somewhere from the subconscious, these forms begin with me. And I know I'm self-taught, and uh, they're not works of a student of art or painter from the. I mean, there may be many mistakes. You know, this is one thing I've always admitted today, that I have made many mistakes in my life, in my work, and I think I've learned from my own mistakes.
Okay. Should we can I just show some works about because there's the other element in your works. You have never hesitated to show sadness, turmoil, and there are series of works you have done with on the subject of death. So I just want to again show a few works, and then maybe you could just talk about a few. I think you even mentioned to me in one of your
Yes.
interviews about Bergman's film, The Seventh Seal,
Yeah,
which is
this is
about.
a very early work,
Hmm.
death reading a book of poems, uh, somewhere I think in the early 70s.
Yeah, it's maybe seven.
I was going through psychoanalysis, and I'm very fond of poetry. So I had many friends who are poets in Colaba when we lived, and uh, I think somewhere the dreams, when one goes through analysis,
Hmm.
uh, in the beginning, it is very painful, but what comes out from your subconscious is the kind of uh, disturbed feelings, everything comes into your work. And also, a lot of dreams come in for fun. So, normally we all dream all the time, but all the dreams don't come to surface where we remember. But then these three dreams, they come in, and I had to speak about those dreams to the analysts. So uh, I don't know how. Maybe it is the subconscious that the, the poetry. And what happens is during that period, you discover other parts of your creativity. It's not only painting, poetry, and various other kinds. So in, I think I've been wanting to write. I used to write few lines, but they're not really good. And I used to know uh, a very famous poetess named Kabla Das,
Yeah.
and every Saturday she used to have a gathering of all creative people, and we used to have tea there, and then each one had to say some lines which they had written and to read out to her. And I remember when my turn came, I said, I'm not a poetess, and I don't think I can read my own lines because I feel too shy. Then she said, doesn't matter whether you are a poet or not, you are creative in your field. So just show me what lines you have written. So that's how, it gave me encouragement to say something uh, in few lines.
Hmm. But I guess your art is your poetry, right? Like these etchings, and
Yes,
especially this painting, Death reading a book of poems. It's, you know, very beautifully depicted. Should I move to the next slide, man?
yes.
Sure. So masks also keep, there's a constant, you keep seeing these, they're recurring elements in all your paintings, watercolors,
Yes.
oils, etchings, So, and again, since we're talking about the entire subject of death and, how you have, manifested or, symbolized death in your paintings, can we talk about, the aspect of masks and the aspect of death?
Uh, well, when I think sometime in 70s, I can tell you a little background how the, the thoughts of uh, a mask came into my mind.
Yeah.
A1, my daughter was into theater and she was going for plays, and sometimes I used to attend her rehearsals. And besides that, it so happened at that time, Amol Palikar also met me, and he said, "Why don't you join us?" And he had just opened his uh, own sort of his own place and his own uh, thinking of doing something. And he said, "Why don't you do uh, the costumes?" So I said, "I don't know any costume. How do I do it?" And it was the play was based on an ancient drama, and he gave me one of the books on costumes. He said, "Try and discover something of your own." So at that time, I did something, some illustration, and did work for him, costume designing for the play. And that's when the uh, I think the image of the mask came. And
Okay.
also I felt during analysis that we all are putting on some kind of a mask, whether we are whether in front of a lover, husband, sister, brother, anybody. So, play acting is all the time happening. And
True.
also coming from a family of filmmakers. So,
Hmm.
and also I've seen a lot of films, plays, and very much interested in films too, and never had a chance to be actively doing editing. But years ago, I still remember, I I was wanting to join FTI just to see the this the appreciation in films. There was a course of 3 months, but since I was teaching, I could not get leave, and I couldn't do it. But that desire was within me all the time, and it so happened after I had retired and moved to Lokhandwala, uh, at NCPA they had a short course of, I think, 6 weeks or so, and immediately I went and enrolled my name, and I saw the beginning of cinema, and all the great works of
Yeah, you had mentioned Bergman's films,
yes,
you
yes,
that I mean, like how you
yes,
are very fascinated by his work and even his book, Bergman and Bergman. So can we go to the next slide? So we'll talk about Bergman in a little
yeah.
bit, but I'll just show the next slide. So here we have a combination of all the aspects: the performer, the cat, and death again. And I mean,
Performing. I mean, before the performance, the makeup and all that used in the
right, right.
yes, yes. And here the clock, because for me the time is very important. When I begin any time, any work, even a drawing or anything, I usually use a use the date, my
Hmm.
beginning of my date of my work, and
Okay.
I feel it's very important uh, to put the time lapse that takes place in one's life, in one's thought, in one's everything. So time
Hmm.
is, I've here used time, and the cat. Actually, in real life, I had so many dogs at home, and
Hmm.
I could have used dogs, but you know, the cat is a form which I have eh, I have loved making it, and that of course death again, the the form of
Yeah.
the skull.
Yeah.
Now, why I've used both, I don't know. It's all comes from my mind.
Maybe it's just to do with life is flowing and the river. So it's maybe um, you're talking about life and death and performance. It's again all the theatrics.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we go to the next slide?
Yes.
So I just wanted to show this one work because from this all these works of death, I just wanted to show this one work which is about the birth, and it looks like you know there's a woman who's giving birth on the street. She's not even in a hospital or in a comfortable suitable environment. So because your works, you do speak, I mean, they do depict a lot of um, turmoil and the very uh, the turmoil in the society
Yes.
and the conditions. So anything you'd like to talk about this work?
Uh, well, this is the birth, and I had shown it in multiple galleries, but I don't think this kind of uh, discovery, or this kind of a thing about talking about birth and skull, and all these elements that I have done, uh, they were not done at all. They were not. I mean, other artists have not seen doing it here, but in the West, people are much more open. So uh, when I had traveled abroad and came back, that's when I thought in my mind, why can't I show uh, our creativity that begins at birth, at the
Okay.
womb?
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful.
that's what I've done later, of course, and
Yeah. But
rice paper works.
okay.
Yeah, this is an etching.
Yeah.
There
Uh,
is one more painting which
okay.
talks about death.
Can we go to the last slide? And
Yes,
yeah,
now
just
here
let
I want to
yes,
speak.
yeah.
This is where I saw lots of uh, international films, and um, Ingmar Bergman. Uh,
The Seventh Seal. Yeah.
yes, yes, and it has had a very deep impression on me, and I've read all those books also. So uh, at that time, I never did this work. Much later, it came into my mind
Hmm.
that the boy playing chess with death, and here again in this painting also, here again the boy is there and the death is about to take him, and
Hmm.
there's a chessboard. So these are all the symbols of death. Uh, I, that what happens at death. Um, it is not that only if a boy is used, but here I've used a dark bird also in front. So
Hmm.
they're all playing chess, and here these two are mourning,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
mother and the daughter. I think it's one of my good works. I'll always see, though it may never, may not be appreciated, but I've done many paintings on this.
Yeah, I mean, we've taken a selection and just shown a few, but
Yes,
yeah, there are a lot of paintings on death and subjects like creation and woman and man and like you are, and it's very done in a very mundane way. Like you're not treating them in a very uh, deeply. I mean, there is of course a deep philosophy in it, but the characterization of it is very humane, very mundane. You see a man, you see a mother, you see a child, you see a boy playing chess. It's very relatable. And I guess that is the a very important aspect and quality of your practice. How you talk about these things in a very as a very mundane element. you know uh,
I want to speak about this very thing. When I exhibited these paintings quite recently in 2018,
mm,
uh, and they were at Jahangir Art Gallery, and I tried my best to get the audience of artists as well as people, but not many turned up.
mm,
And later on, I heard that because and the Times of India also began write up saying Lalita has done on death.
hmm.
So that made people not to enter and see works on death.
Oh,
It was put off, and, and what I feel is uh, that is something that happens with all of us. We all are going to die, and why can't we face that? But people don't realize this part, and it's an element that, well, it happens to everyone.
true, 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 true. So, since we're talking about this, I mean, and you do deal with death in such a deep manner, and you even deal with a lot of sadness, and which all, of course, comes from your own experiences and from things that you've seen. You know, can we even speak a little more about the other influences of say music or poetry, because uh, whenever we speak, like when we've met, you have mentioned about a lot of poets uh, that you've been reading, especially Virginia Woolf, A Room of One's Own, and Letters of Virginia Woolf. So do you want to talk about that?
You mean psychoanalysis or
No.
no?
But like you had mentioned to me Virginia Woolf's
Oh, what?
poetry.
Yes, the kind of books that I've read.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
You particularly mentioned the book A Room of One's Own.
yes. That was given to me by an American girl. Yes. When I went to USA in '76, and I had a small show in Seattle,
Hmm.
and there is a Seattle gallery. The name of the gallery was NN Gallery.
Hmm.
So they put up all my prints,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
most of them, those that were done at that time.
Okay.
And I met all these young girls,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
sometimes, you know, Americans, or I mean, any kind of, I mean, you begin to discover that there is some kind of, I'm not very good at words, so
That's fine.
yeah,
Going very well. Please just continue sharing.
how people sometimes vibe with each other,
Yeah.
and that's when they give you gifts, and they're very large-hearted. So one of the girls said, maybe I have given her a gift of an etching. I can't remember. Long ago.
It's absolutely wonderful, in fact, to have this conversation and understand so many things about your paintings, your drawings, and the etchings that just now began this discussion. So, actually, my next question, and because I'm a printmaker myself, and I have
Oh,
such a deep love for any mode of printmaking, I thought I'll lead you into this space of your practice, Lalita ji, which is working with all forms of printmaking. You did quite an extensive number of etchings. You have also worked with woodcuts and so many other mediums. You did screen printing as well. Jyoti, if I may ask you to please share some of the images of the prints.
yeah. Well,
So,
I want to. This is a very early uh, etching, which was exhibited in uh, West Gallery, West Germany, sorry,
right.
and they made posters. It something in the West when they like somebody, how well they organize in a gallery. It was a small place in West Germany. It is like we are in Lokhandwala, small place compared to the city, like that. And on the first day, as we entered,
Yeah, don't
it, it,
worry about that. Yeah.
it was lovely because uh, you know I was not at this point of time. I was not doing very good etching, not very good fine uh, aquatints. But
All right.
yeah, there I saw even the wheel where we use the. I mean, we take the print.
Yeah. Right.
Everything is so well done. They have electricity, and even to pour the aquatint on the plate is done mechanically. Here we used to use hand, with the ponds.
Yeah.
Yes. But not that it makes too much of a difference, but the quality of the print comes excellent, which
Right.
I was not able to do it at that time. Of course, with experience, I think I learned on my own. My aquatints became better and better. That's what I meant. That I made many mistakes. I spoiled many plates. Also, you know, how many years do some? I think you asked me about 25 years. I've I've done only print because at
Right.
that time I was teaching and there was no time to paint canvases. Whole day I was teaching, but that passion in me was there and yes, I forgot. Uh, when I think it was at the same time, I had this fellowship from the Ministry of Culture, and they were paying me 500 a month, and that helped me to go and buy a press, small press uh, in Baroda. And I stayed
Okay.
with Nasreen Mohammadi, and she took me to Jyoti Bhatt, and he designed that small press. It was there with me for 25 years, and I used to work every night.
At home
Yes,
with
from
this
9 o'clock
small
to
press.
2 o'clock, and then go off to work. So I was deprived of my sleep for so many years. So even now that pattern is there, I'm awake until 1:40 to 1. I do go do some reading, and I can't sleep early.
Oh, that's such an interesting thing to hear. We have some of your prints, of course, right here for everyone to see, and I think that it seems a very fine technique when we look at the images now. Even though you say that you probably made many mistakes, but the quality of the mezzo, the darkness, and the sort of balance of the space, the light and shade that you were bringing into these works, both in terms of aqua tint, but also the lines, I think. Can we go to the next slides, please? It's incredible. This work, in fact, comes back again here as a part of the discussion. So during this entire period, you were also a mother, and you were running a family. So that would have been quite a large balance, isn't it, as well? To teach, to
Yes, yes, it was a very. I think I have worked very hard those years, and now when I look back at it today, of course, I can't do that kind of work, but at that time, yes, teaching and printmaking was not easy. But you know, one thing that happened with psychoanalysis is I found my uh, what can you say with I had a lot of confusion before because I used to do a series on tantrism, seed series, and then squares, moving squares in painting. And I had two exhibitions. That's when I entered analysis, and I discovered my own journey, and I discovered that I'm not going to do abstracts anymore. It was a
okay.
question whether to do abstracts or non-abstracts. You know, it, it is a strange kind of a dilemma I had. And then I thought, I'm going to use only figures and I'm going to use my own way of doing it. Not, and also here I use boats and fruits and pots. Now, this is a kind of domesticity. At home, we have all this. And the paper boats, they are from my childhood. Uh, we have played in paper boats with my brother. And, in Calcutta, every house has a uh, cemented place where water is stored, and it's
Okay.
called howdah. So that's where in afternoons, when we had holidays, my two brothers and me, we used to play paper boats. So, that used to come into my work earlier. And
That's
of
beautiful.
course,
In fact,
as I said, performers,
yes.
everything is, you know, yeah, this kind of work. All these works, I think, because of having my family as filmmakers, I had seen a lot of films, all the international, every time the international films came, uh, I used to wait, I had to stand in the queues for 8 and 9 hours just to get the uh, the tickets. And
Tickets.
it was Kalpana and I used to go and see. Sometimes my husband and we used to do that. And living in this Colaba area, in the city, it was very convenient to see everything. And we were exposed to plays and films and poetry readings, everything. But now I'm cut off from all that because of being in a very distant place, away from the city.
Right, right. Now, I think that, while we're talking right here, I'd like to also tell everyone that the wonderful exhibition is going on currently on the platform that is, hosted by the Goethe-Zentrum. And what we'd like to do is maybe have a very quick, small 1 minute view of the exhibition so that people can have a look and maybe go and visit it later. So, Jyoti, if that's possible, we can just show the little bit of the exhibition. Wonderful, I think. Wonderful opportunity for everyone to come in contact with so much of your work. And I think it has all happened because we are facing the pandemic and because we have been in this virtual space. So, thank you to Gallery Art and Soul also for really putting in so much. And yes, we've really enjoyed putting the exhibition together. Over to you, Jesal, if you have other questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks both Zentrum to have done this, and Lina, I must thank you the most.
Thank you. Thank you
And
so much.
Jesal also. Jesal understanding my work from the beginning, you know.
No, I
And
think
I wanted to get the word, I got it now. Analysis gave me discovery of some, it was now not the word. I distant.
no problem. I think it's good when we look at your works. You've been for over a decade, like what Lina has showed, what I kind of presented, what's even been presented in the exhibition is not just your recent works. We've shown works from 70s, from 60s, from 80s, and when you see the entire body, and there are these consistent elements, the self, you being the most the most consistent, of course, and the elements of compassion. There are a lot of paintings which talk about your relationship maybe with your mother, or with a between a daughter and a mother, which are shown and depicted in your paintings. So, as much as there is the turmoil and the death, there is, of course, a lot of compassion for the human, the that you feel, which comes through the paintings, the agony that comes through the paintings. So, do you want to just talk about that a little?
Exactly what you mean by that.
As in, we spoke about death, and
Yes.
and we even saw that how that influence of Bergman's films,
Yes.
especially The Seventh Seal, influenced you, and it brought about a series of works. Now, of course, death is, the most heightened form of, you can say, agony one can feel. But there are other, you can say, transitions also of suffering that are felt in your painting, and not just suffering, but then there's even a compassion. There are these very close moments of relationships between, a daughter and a mother, a daughter and the father, the daughter and the grandmother. Very close relationship with families, everyday moments, of having lunch or sitting on a dining table, eating a fruit. So there is this element of the everyday, the mundane moments that are there on your, in your practice, like the way I even see it in, maybe, Bhupen Khakkar's practice, or even Prabhakar Barve's practice, where he uses the everyday objects as part of his practice. So I just want you to maybe, talk about that, or share how you bring that out.
Well, I think it is my personal journey because uh, recently I've lost my daughter, and that is
Hmm.
very painful. Even today, it's very painful to talk about her, think about, because she used to live in our own house. We were in different rooms, but early morning she would shout, saying, "Amma, come to my room, talk to me, don't brush your teeth, come." She was so affectionate, and that kind of affinity and love, I didn't find it anywhere. That is a different kind of uh, each experience, each person gives to different kind of uh, vibrations and love. And
Yeah.
I know I have been through even relationships and in my youth, and even that I find that every relationship was very intense as
Hmm.
long as it remained. But today they are all memories, so it's still there
Very
with me.
beautifully put, their memories.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe you are reliving these memories through your canvases, right? I mean, in a
Now
way, yeah.
perhaps, and analysis gave me focus, at least to think. Each artist must think only of doing one way of doing work. Cannot do three or four. I mean, I know I have used different medias in mediums in my work, but even different mediums, but there is that some kind of continuity in my thought
Hmm.
process.
Yes, of course, that's very clearly, visible. So, a couple of things just come to my mind. One is, since you've been in this industry for so many years. I mean, you're one of the most senior artists today that we have, and women artists. I would like to stress on that. And you're a self-taught artist, right? Um, what is the advice you'd like to give the younger generation?
Actually, for a self-taught artist, the discovery is more. The discovery has to be more intense, and one must do many things like reading. Reading is very important, and at least to us in my home, Kalpana, my husband, all of us were readers, and they does,
Hmm.
and that's how we have that large bookshelf.
Yeah.
But different parts you can see
No,
all
you
everyone.
and you have mentioned to me that you have enjoyed reading biographies of
Yes,
autobiographies of
yes, yes. Even today, I love
yeah.
biography and of all great people. Right now, I'm reading a book called Cinema, Art of Cinema.
Yeah.
There also, I'm reading some of the geniuses in filmmakers
With
of the past and the present.
present. So, can you share some of the books that you've read in your earlier days? With the audience. Because I do have the list of books that you've read, but I would like it that you share it with you know.
Now, I can't remember all the authors. Yes, well, I can say a few. Uh, I've read Beethoven's
Bi-
biography.
Yeah.
then Charles Chaplin.
Yeah.
These are the great people, and yes, Napoleon. So people, I think this was the common thing between me and my doctor, is to share, we used to read and talk about them. So, and I think those things have made me understand that each of us, we have a creativity, and it should be intense, it should go on until the end.
Beautiful. I'd like to call Lina. If you have any, you know, comments, more questions, we can even take questions from the audience if there is.
Yes, in fact, I'd like to announce again that if anyone has any questions, please do put it into the YouTube chat box and we'll be able to address them. I think that it's been incredible. Just like you said, Jesal, the work is absolutely speaking to everyone who looks at it because it touches common experience, it touches everyday experience, and yet it touches also at an emotional and spiritual level. So I think that for us, it really matters not that you are self-taught or you went to any institution, but it's just that your work communicates so much, and there are so many stories that simply keep flowing out. So I think that's the experience. Someone, in fact, would like to ask you very specifically, um, what are the faces in the paintings representing? I think that these faces are meant to be masks. I think that Jai Krishna Sanku is asking about the masks, if I am right. So you did address it earlier, but could you speak a little more, perhaps, about the whole idea of masks?
The mask that one puts on all the time, that's what I mean. It's not only in a play, but in real life, it's like Shakespeare speaks about all the people are on the, on the stage of life. We are all play things,
Players.
and that is something I've always tried to show, that we are pretentious most of the time, and we don't show all the parts of ourselves. Even amongst friends, there are some friends you're just a friend only for that moment, but it's not a deep relationship.
Right.
So this happens with certain people. You become very intimate, and intimate does not mean every time it is physical intimacy, but it can be only mentally.
Mm.
Yes. Yes.
But it should be there. I feel that discovery of the mental, physical should be there for an artist to discover. But it's not just one relationship you're married to, or you're indebted to. You know that
Right.
helps.
Right.
That I'm not saying that, but these things happen. It's not something that you do it purposely, but life is such that some things happen. Sometimes you meet the right people, sometimes you don't. Then when that person goes away, it's the pain that you go through. All that has come into my work. I think so.
Right. Right. Someone else, Satya Nalla, would like to ask, what would be a good way to deal with grief? Is art a natural form to overcome grief? I think that in your understanding, would art have been a method of overcoming the different kinds of grief you experience?
So difficult to answer this question because it has been a wonderful evening for me to speak, but I'm really not verbal. And I feel I have already shown what, and each painting was done at a certain stage, certain time. Now, if someone tells me, repeat, it can never happen. It's for every one of us. One experience that took place at that particular time, you have done it. and then it's finished. The moment is finished, and then you uh, you go further. You know,
Right.
that is the way of life. It's a youth, your age, aging. Now I'm aging, so I don't think of those things. But everything has changed for me. I'm all alone. I missed my whole family. I miss so many people who I have loved. They're all gone. So,
You've always spoken about that, how all these ups and downs are part of everyone's life. And they are there. It's a reality. And one moves forward. Yeah. So we have a question from Sumana Roy, and Sumana says, "Ma'am, I'm a young artist and I practice art every day. But how does one keep themselves motivated, fully aware that tomorrow may not bring any promises?" So how does one keep motivated? I think that is what she wants to ask.
well, for me, art is like, everyday practice and breathing. It doesn't mean that every day I hold a brush and paint. Uh, it may be your thought process that is very important when you enter your studio or room where you do it. It may be a line you draw uh, in your drawing book or your diary or whatever you, or even it need not be just a line. It could be some thought that comes in your words. If you're capable of saying some words also in your book. I mean, everything is uh, creativity, I feel. And it is because we don't discover, many times there are many who don't discover that creativity. It's God given. So I think it happens. Yeah, and there are moments when you go blank, and that period comes to everyone, whether you're a writer, poet, or you go through painting or music or dance or anything. But then see, every performing artist, I'm not making films, but like music and dance, they have to be doing uh, their practice apart from going on the stage. And every day they are so disciplined. I think much more disciplined than us. You know? And it is beautiful that they, because of their practice, and even those who can uh, take those recordings, it is so wonderful. You know? And for me, music is also very important. In fact, there was a time when I used to have whole range of Western classical, and it happened. I must tell you this part. Uh, we didn't have a record changer or anything, but Bombay B used to have 1 to 145 every day in B. There was A and B in section, and B section had only uh, Western, I mean, in English, and everything. Your news was given in English, everything. And this part, this 40, 45 minutes, was given to Western classical. And I happened to discover that through my cousin, a friend of, I mean, listening to some of these uh, great creative, I mean, uh,
Musicians
yes,
and
musician. And I found that those were so inspiring that I used to look forward to this Bombay Bee, because each day they used to show some piece of Beethoven, some piece of France, or any of these figures. And I used to listen. And my son was just born at that time, and I used to, I mean, instead of singing, uh, lullaby, I used to put on this music, and he says even in his subconscious, he's now a grown-up man and he lives abroad. He still remembers in his subconscious those pieces. So
Wow.
somewhere music plays such a big role in our lives.
Yes, absolutely. I think that we have time for maybe a couple more questions. Let me quickly go through them. So Raghu Pillai says, "Dear ma'am, I'm very happy to see you here and I have always loved your work. Why were you only featured in one film? Why didn't you pursue cinema,
Oh,
even though your brother was Guru Duttji?"
okay.
So,
I'll tell you that question. I was uh, I was very young when I got married because my parent it was an arranged marriage, and those days, uh, well, the girl was 16, 17. They used to look for a boy, and boy who could earn well and all that. And it so happened it was a proposal that came, first proposal, and my mother agreed for this. I mean, in those days, they never used to ask the girl whether she wants to get married to that person, whether she wanted to get. I mean, I was not asked at all. It was agreed by them. Not that uh, one part of my life is so. I mean, I must say, the first time when uh, we came out and talked to each other, I asked him, "Are you interested in art?" And he said, "No." And that came as a shock to me. I went back to my mother and said, I can't get married to a person who doesn't react to art at all. At that time, I was nothing. I was doing commercial art in JJ school in the third year, second year, second year. And my mother sent me there thinking that I'll join an ad firm and start earning. She always felt that fine arts would not give any kind of feedback, any kind of earning. And those days there wasn't even, no exposure, nothing, no exhibit. I've not heard of exhibitions, and we used to live in Matunga, a small place. I grew up in a very small, modest, we were very poor, so we could have afforded to do any. In fact, my mother said, "You can't do painting. You will have to do this."
Mm.
So, you know, this way, even me, my husband also, he was saying he was sold into Dufferin and never asked whether he wanted to do it. So, but this aspect I must say, to both my children, we gave full freedom, whatever they wanted. Kalpana wanted to get into theater, drama, films, everything. Of course, I did have. I was very ambitious for her, and I wanted. I tried to get her into National School of Drama. I spoke to Al here. I spoke to FTI at that time, Girish Karnad, and I did everything for her. But she ultimately said, "No, mommy, if I do 5 years there and come out, which job will I get? I won't get a job as a so she was a very thinking girl, and she had her own way of thinking, and uh, I think it was good. She went through, and I know she went through a relationship which was, unheard of. I mean, her father and her partner was as old as her father. I know it was not uh, accepted, and my brother broke off with me and he shouted and screamed at me on the phone. He said, "I have nothing to do with you. How dare you allow your daughter to do this?" And, things like that I have gone through. But I was very determined. I was telling my mother, the kind of freedom you never gave me, I'm going to give my daughter. So I know even that freedom is also constricted. It's not something that you can do what you want.
yes, but yes, I mean, she has also been so inspiring with her filmmaking. I think that
Yes.
uh, uh, all of us have looked up to many of her works as well. So that brings me to the next question, which is Georgina Maddox. Of course, she's really appreciating you, and she's remembering the time she met you. But she's asking you if cinema is still an influence for you in your work.
Yes. You asked me the earlier question, why I
You
was
acted
not
in
into
only
the
one.
uh, well, cinema, because we were in town and we used to attend lots of cinema, international, and I was member of cine clubs like Alliance Francaise Cine Club, and also USI used to send us invitations every Wednesday. But of course, there were timings at 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. They were very particular, and the sitting arrangement was first come, first served. But then, these things I was exposed to. In the evenings, I had nothing to do, so I felt this way I could learn something from cinema. So,
Yes, it has been a very important part of your life. We come to, in fact, the last question because we're almost finished with our time. But Shruti Kapadia asks, you have always shown women in very strong portraits in your work. Please tell us about two such strong women from your own life.
not, I'm not. I mean, this is not something that you decide to do. Just happens.
Mm.
Uh, some paintings they happen and they
Yes,
speak, and some don't. So I don't know why, and also reason not being in cinema is because I got married very young, but and also I had Kalpana and
yes,
so there's a family and all that, and yes, much later Amir Khan offered me a small role, but that also I must tell you why it happened. I was teaching in Fort Convent College of Jesus and Mary. There we had one section where we could choose to do any kind of work for needy people, and they had this spastic society. And every Thursday they used to send us the bus uh, society and small bus, and I used to take the ninth standard girls, and I used to take the equipment, like vegetable printing or painting, everything we used to carry ourselves. And those children, they are very, and it's not like a big class in uh, Kansas, in Spatial Society. These children are only about 4 or 5 in a class. So, and each one has a problem, different kind of problem, autistic problem. Then, uh, I mean, now I can't remember the names, but different kinds. Some children, they have space problem. They feel they are they're cooped up, not that they're cooped up in a place, but they don't have it, in their mind. And
yeah,
some children, if they are taught letter B, they would do it other way.
right.
It is also the mind, and the children that are born have defects of all these things because of the pressure when they are born, and the pressure that has come to the brain. And the brain, for every human being, brain is very important. So it's very sad for them. But I think art is very important. Uh, all those are affected children. Just make them happy.
So did Amir Khan meet
Yes,
you there?
Amir Khan knew that I had done work, and I had done work for um, 11 and a half years,
Okay.
Spastic Society. So Amir found out because the earlier director of the Amil Gupte, he had purchased one of the prints in Prithvi, in Prithvi, I had 2 shows of only prints. This Sanjana Kapoor, she had
Yeah.
asked me to do it. And at that time, it was very nice. The boys used to put up few prints, and at the opening, Sanjana used to invite all the artists on a Sunday and morning, and it was all Western food, like the French and the Western. So it was fantastic mornings that we used to. But now everything is in the past because she no longer belongs to religion. So all that has stopped. Also, I must tell you, for printmaking, Firoza Gudrich. Firoza Gudrich
Yes,
also
Firoza.
encouraging us, and she used to have uh, group, and she's made portfolios of our work.
Yes, yes. She has been incredibly supportive, I think, of
Yes,
so many artists, and it's been very special. So I think that we have actually now come. Would you like to add anything more, Lalita ji? Because we are coming to the end of the program,
Oh,
and so it has been really incredible. Thank you so much for all your sharing, for your time and energy, and Jesal, you as well. I think we are all here very grateful and so happy to have spent this time with you, even if it is online. And the audience as well, thank you for being there. And now I'd like to hand over to you, Amita, to say the last few words for this program.
Thank you, Lina, and thank you, Jesal and Lalita ji. This was absolutely delightful. It was such a wonderful journey down the memory. You intertwined life and, of course, parts of it, death and birth, with such deep and moving memories that you brought out from your personal life, from your work life. It was very moving. It was a very beautiful journey that you took us through this hour. Of course, excellently, curated and directed and steered by Jesal and Lina. This was wonderful, from masks to memory, from pain to passion. You're very passionate in the last one. I'm so glad you do bring up Tare Zameen Pe, because it has touched a whole lot of us, and your role has been quite calming and quite instrumental in bringing home the ultimate underlying message that Amir Khan was bringing out through your presence, through your being part of this very large. And I had no idea that you had spent so many years working with children. So it's incredible how you have been able to bring the passion and all your experiences together. Thank you so much. It is for very good reason that we chose my colleague Jyoti, who has, and Pal, who have been in touch with you throughout, to invite you as the distinguished speaker, which is who you are. You also mentioned that the posters in Germany were so nicely put up everywhere to make you feel important. That is what you are. And you have brought out those very emotions and significance and symbolism for us in this 1 hour. It has been very memorable. Thank you so much for being part of this platform at the Goethe-Zentrum Hyderabad. I thank my colleagues Jyoti and Pal to really carry this through. I thank Lina and Jesal not only for conducting this very delightful, very memorable conversation, but also for the online exhibition that has been curated. It is a very beautiful, beautiful exhibition. And for those who are here and others who may not be able to travel to see these works, this platform, the Digital Pass platform, enables us to get closer to the works of Lalitha ji. Thank you, Gallery Art and Soul. Thank you so much, Jesal Thacker, for loaning us the works and really helping us put this exhibition together. And Lina, for carrying it through, curating it, and connecting us. Thank you so much. Thank you to the audience, Jesal, Lina, and Lalitha ji. I'm indebted. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You.
A wonderful evening to everyone. And yes, look forward to more programs and do log in to our exhibition. Are we offline now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
What
It was
a
awesome.
beautiful journey.
Yes, it was a beautiful,
Went
beautiful
very
session,
well.
Lalitha ji. Jesal
Yes.
and
Thank you.
Lina, you did so well, so well.
Thank you. Thank you.
So glad
Thanks-
that the
Thanks.
internet was
Thanks
fine.
to both gents.
Taking
For
us,
sure.
because
Um,
I had fallen ill, so I wasn't
I
around.
know. I'm so glad that you're well enough today, Jesal, because I'm so glad we could postpone the talk so that you could be here.
Yeah.
Pal, it's still
Um,
recording. Pal, it's still recording.
I know, Amita. We just wanted to have this.
So the
Yeah,
gallery,
so
the
it's
gallery
not
art
on
and soul
YouTube, right?
had, no,
Yeah.
not on YouTube.
Yeah.
Gallery Art and Soul had requested that whatever conversations are there, please, so that they'll have it in their archives.
Fine.
Oh,
Wonderful.
splendid.
Of course, of course. As long as it's not on YouTube.
I think it's
No,
been a very beautiful effort.
Yes.
you've
And a
taken.
big thank you to Niharika and Gaurav.
Niharika, yes, Gaurav, Niharika, Sumesh ji.
Yes,
Please
Sumesh.
take this through us. And if you are here, Gaurav, please come on screen so that we can.
Boy, I think she's at Lalita ji's place. I don't think she can hear us.
I'm right here.
Niharika is here.
Yes,
She must be. Oh, right.
right there.
Lovely. Yes, thank you, Niharika. Really, it
No
was
problem.
smooth and so nice. The screen also looked perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that we managed really well. But thank you, Pal and Jyoti, for sharing the screen, allowing us to see all the work so beautifully. I think that people are going to go back there and watch it, and also they're going to go and visit the show as well. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad about that.
No,
Yeah.
but it was very important for you all to, put up this exhibition of Lalita ji, because I think she is a very important artist and she deserves a lot of, credit and recognition. And it's thank you for hosting the exhibition and the talk. I think it was very important.
I think it was meant to be, Jesal, because somehow it all fell in place.
Yeah.
So many times you just have an idea and you wish that it happens, but for this one, it all fell in place at the right time. And Lalita ji was so cooperative from the beginning. So yeah, it all happened. I think it was meant to be. And somehow that, our role as Jesal, was
Jyoti, if you approach anyone with your smiling face and the way you talk,
oh, sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We won't hold Lalita ji for any longer, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for just sitting through and being very patient through the conversation. We really appreciated that you've been there with us throughout for the exhibition as well as the talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Lina, thank you for initiating this discussion.
Yes.
Thank you,
I
Amita.
recall that was many months ago that you and Jyoti had this conversation, actually almost a year ago.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and then it finally has taken shape. So yeah, thank you for leading this. Yeah.
Wonderful. I look forward to more and more collaborations with everyone and look forward to seeing everyone in the physical world as well.
Yes, yes, that's right. That's right. Wonderful. Everybody stay well. Be safe.
Take care. Bye. Bye.
Take care. Bye, Jesal. Get
Thank
well
you,
soon.
Jesal.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye, Lalita
Thank
ji.
you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.